Grandma Just Simply Shantae. So I'm here with a nightly recap of my analysis today. I'm going to be pretty brief. I was supposed to be brief yesterday, but I went over on a rant. I ranted. Sometimes I rant and don't know how long I rant for, but I have some numbers of coronavirus and this on my notebook. All the numbers I written down. See how my neat handwriting? I got some neat handwriting. See? So, I am just going to say some of these numbers. I did not write down the whole 188 countries because nobody got time to do that in their spare time. So, here we are. So, globally, around the world, like I said, 188 countries, we have, around the world, once again, 38,041,143. The death toll is almost at 1.1 million, so it's 1,084,888. The cases here at home is 7,854,917. And as of yesterday, we had about 45,927 cases, new cases of COVID-19. That's almost 46,000. That's damn near almost 50,000 if you want to get technical. The death toll here is 215,681. Now, I list some other countries. There's other countries that are trailing us, like they're like neck and neck with us, such as India. India has 7,175,880. Brazil has 5,103,480. No, 408. Russia has 1,318,703. Colombia has 924,098. They're almost hitting the million threshold. There will be the fifth country to do so. Let's see. Argentina has 917,035. Spain has 896,086. No, 896,086. I'm assuming they have shut down again. I'm not quite sure. Peru has 851,171. Mexico has 825,340. And France rounds that top 10 out with 798,257. Keep in mind, Mexico, France, Spain, Argentina, they have surpassed South Africa. How interesting is that? South Africa is still in the 600s. They have 694,000 cases. There's other countries that still, you see ticks and you see rising cases. You see the Dominican Republic at 119,008. Panama is at 121,296. Nigeria has 60,655. And Ghana has 47,126. Haiti has 8,887. And Jamaica has 7,910. That's a lot. That's a whole ass lot. Now into the states, you see California has 862,787. Texas has 841,895. Florida has 738,741. And yet Donald Trump had a rally there yesterday, and it's another COVID epicenter outbreak ready to happen. New York is at 481,436. We have seen upticks here in New York. Like I said, I live in New York, and it's mostly in Brooklyn and Queens. Those are cluster cases that's been happening there. Illinois has 329,160. Georgia has 318,065. North Carolina has 234,842. Arizona has 226,749. New Jersey has 216,873. And Tennessee rounds out the top 10 with 215,423. Of course, we have no plan. But it is 21 days until the election. So those who are early voting and those who states have started the early voting, I suggest you take advantage of it. I live in New York. The early voting here starts as of next Saturday. But of course, I'll be going on a weekday because it's better than to go on a weekend. Because it starts Saturday on the 24th. Which I'm like, but Better than nothing, right? So I encourage you guys to do that. Or you can request your absentee ballot. I guess you have to go on some local site and to do so. For those who live in New York City in particular, go on the NYC Board of Elections. It's just that simple, folks. But it was day 2 of the hearing, and of course, it was contentious. But I'm going to pull up some clips, of course. So let me just pull some up. One was Dianne Feinstein. Of course, Twitter was trying to drag her, but my thing is, yes, she's old. She's almost 90. Yes, she's not as forceful as progressives want her to be. But at the same time, this woman has been fighting for women and LGBTQ. You got to give people their just due and where they are. Okay? So I'm just going to play some of these clips because she tried to ask Judge Barrett a question whether Donald Trump has the authority to delay the election. So these answers from Judge Barrett was pretty telling.
The authority. On July 30th, 2020, President Trump made claims of voter fraud and suggested he wanted to delay the upcoming election. Does the Constitution give the President of the United States the authority to unilaterally delay a general election under any circumstances? Does federal law?
Well, Senator, if that question ever came before me, I would need to hear arguments from the litigants and read briefs and consult with my law clerks and talk to my colleagues and go through the opinion writing process. So, if I give off-the-cuff answers, then I would be basically a legal pundit. And I don't think we want judges to be legal pundits. I think we want judges to approach cases thoughtfully.
Okay. That should have been just a simple no. So, Donald Trump does not, exactly, Elizabeth, Donald Trump does not have the authority to delay the election. He doesn't. It's in the Constitution. He doesn't. Okay? So, Judge Barrett right there, screw up. And Dianne Feinstein got her to admit to that. And I think it was an LGBTQ question, too, within that. Oh, no, there was a Roe versus Wade question.
Justice Scalia, as was said earlier, joined the dissent, which took the position, and I quote, "We believe that Roe was wrongly decided and that it can and should be overruled, consistent with our traditional approach to stare decisis in constitutional cases." Do you agree with Justice Scalia's view that Roe was wrongly decided?
So, Senator, I do want to be forthright and answer every question so far as I can. I think on that question, I'm going to invoke Justice Kagan's description, which I think is perfectly put. When she was in her confirmation hearing, she said that she was not going to grade precedent or give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And I think in an area where precedent continues to be pressed and litigated, as is true of Casey, it would be it would actually be wrong and a violation of the canons for me to do that as a sitting judge. So if I express a view on a precedent one way or another, whether I say I love it or I hate it, it signals to litigants that I might tilt one way or another in a pending case.
So on something that is really a major cause with major effect on over half of the population of this country, who are women, after all, it's distressing not to get a straight answer.
Exactly, Senator Feinstein. Exactly. All she could have said, his opinion, I agree with his opinion. I'd rather her said she agreed with his opinion because she does describe herself as an originalist. So let me just get the proper term of what an originalist is, because you know who also described themselves as such? Anton Scalia. So let's type what an originalist is. So, in the context of the United States law, originalism is a concept regarding the interpretation of the Constitution that asserts that all statements in the Constitution must be interpreted based on the original understanding as it was adopted. Okay, so for those who don't know what that means, that basically means that the way the Constitution was written when the founding fathers written it, that's how it should be. It doesn't include black people when they say all men were created equal. That doesn't include women. It doesn't include people of color, women or people of color. So when I hear a woman saying that she's an originalist, I'm like, but you wasn't even considered to be part of the fucking Constitution. So what the fuck are you talking about? I understand you are not for, because you're a conservative, so you're not for certain things that the progressive or like the liberals are. But to call yourself an originalist and the way the Constitution was written, it was not about you. You're a woman. You wasn't even written in the original text. You shouldn't call yourself an originalist. But who am I? Who the fuck am I? So that's how she considered herself to be. So that's one. I was trying to find the LGBTQ one, which, I probably can't find that one, but I guess, Mazie Hirono, that's another one who checked her. And trust me, it was one hell of a exchange.
15 decision in Obergefell v. Hodges, a case in which the court recognized the constitutional right to same-sex marriage. And I was disappointed that you wouldn't give a direct answer on whether you agreed with the majority in that case, or if you instead agree with your mentor, Justice Scalia, that no such right exists in the Constitution. So even though you didn't give a direct answer, I think your response did speak volumes. Not once, but twice. You used the term sexual preference to describe those in the LGBTQ community. And let me make clear, sexual preference is an offensive and outdated term. It is used by anti-LGBTQ activists to suggest that sexual orientation is a choice. It is not. Sexual orientation is a key part of a person's identity. That sexual orientation is both a normal expression of human sexuality and immutable was a key part of the majority's opinion in Obergefell, which, by the way, Scalia did not agree with. So if it is your view that sexual orientation is merely a preference, as you noted, then the LGBTQ community should be rightly concerned whether you would uphold their constitutional right to marry. I don't think that you use the term sexual preference as just, I don't think it was an accident. And one of the legacies of Justice Scalia and his particular brand of originalism is a resistance to recognizing those in the LGBTQ community as having equal rights under our Constitution. In 1996, Justice Scalia wrote a dissenting opinion in Romer v. Evans defending a state's ability to openly discriminate against the LGBTQ community. In 2003, Justice Scalia wrote a dissenting opinion in Lawrence v. Texas, defending a state's right to criminally prosecute someone for same-sex sexual activity. 10 years later, in U.S. v. Windsor, Justice Scalia wrote another dissenting opinion, this time defending the federal government's right to deny federal recognition of same-sex marriages. And of course, 2 years after that, in Obergefell, Justice Scalia wrote yet another dissent, and this time he argued that there was no constitutional right to same-sex marriage. So under Justice Scalia's judicial philosophy, which you have told us is your own, states could openly discriminate against the LGBTQ community. Same-sex couples could be denied the right to get married, and they could actually be thrown in jail if they engage in sexual intercourse. There are an estimated 11 million adults who identify as LGBTQ living in this country since Obergefell was decided in 2015. Approximately 293,000 same-sex couples have gotten married. And many of these people are rightly afraid that if you are confirmed, you will join with other conservative members of the court to roll back everything the LGBTQ community has gained over the past 2 decades and push them back into the closet. Now, 2 sitting justices are already calling for Obergefell to be narrowed, if not outright overturned. Just last week, Justices Thomas and Alito issued a statement concurring with the court's decision to deny cert in Davis v. Irmo, a case involving a former Kentucky County Court who refused to issue marriage certificates to same-sex couples. They accused the court of, and this is Justices Alito and Thomas, they accused the court of, quote, reading a right to same-sex marriage into the 14th Amendment, even though that right is found nowhere in the text. And these 2 justices signal that Obergefell is a problem that only the court can fix. So, coupled with your use of the term sexual preference, coupled with your view on precedents, and that a justice's view or her own analysis of the constitutionality should overtake or overcome precedents. If it's a
So she basically described, I think earlier before Mazie Hirono questioned her, that LGBT, no matter what their sexual preference is, first of all, sexual preference hasn't been used in God knows how long. I had to even stop using the term sexual preference. I started using, sexual orientation or the LGBTQ or they, the pronouns. Sometimes I don't even ask what your sexual preference is unless you tell me. So that's all I'm saying. Okay. There's also another clip from Kamala Harris. And she questions her about the Affordable Care Act, I believe. Or no. Oh, she slams. Oh, she basically, because it's a lot of things that Kamala Harris said today. So here we go.
I asked you earlier today, but did not receive an answer. Prior to your nomination, were you aware of President Trump's statements committing to nominate judges who will strike down the Affordable Care Act? And I'd appreciate a yes or no answer, please.
Well, Senator Harris, I want to be very, very careful. I'm under oath. As I'm sitting here, I don't recall seeing those statements, but I don't recall seeing or hearing those statements, but I don't really know what context they were in, so I guess I can't really definitively give you a yes or no answer. What I would like to say is I don't recall hearing about or seeing such statements.
Senator Klobuchar.
That was regarding the ACA. Did Trump mention to her she got nominated when she struck down the ACA? She couldn't give a clear answer, of course. There's more questioning that she did. I wanted to hear about the more questioning that she basically told this young woman. Asked this young woman. So trying to find, because Kamala Harris got a lot of, stuff,
Many of my colleagues, I joined civil rights and community leaders to speak to the thousands of people who gathered outside the Capitol as they pleaded, as they begged with lawmakers to do the right thing. All of these dedicated Americans demanding that their voices be heard. And they made a difference. They made a difference.
I don't know, Paul. I'm not quite as sure. But I believe he said no. He doesn't like the idea.
Great John McCain denied Republicans the opportunity to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And now, following a decade of failure, Washington Republicans have realized that the Affordable Care Act is working too well and helping too many people to repeal it without facing serious political consequences. But what are they doing? After suffering the backlash they provoked by targeting the law in Congress, they decided instead to circumvent voters and try to strike down the Affordable Care Act through the courts. Right now, the Trump administration and Senate Republicans are urging the Supreme Court to strike down the entire Affordable Care Act and all of its patient protections. Republicans are scrambling to confirm this nominee as fast as possible because they need one more Trump judge on the bench before November 10th to win and strike down the entire Affordable Care Act. This is not hyperbole. This is not a hypothetical. This is happening. And here's what you have to know. People are scared. People are scared of what will happen if the Affordable Care Act is destroyed in the middle of a pandemic. There are more than 100 million Americans with pre-existing conditions like asthma and diabetes, heart disease, who know that they could be denied coverage or charged more by insurance companies if Donald Trump is successful in getting rid of the Affordable Care Act. And because of the coronavirus, more than 7 million people have now a pre-existing condition that they didn't have earlier this year. Those who depend on the ACA are afraid of their lives being turned upside down if the court strikes it down. They know.
And she's right. And of course, she still couldn't give a clear, concise answer. Because she talked about it in magazines and different writings that she's going to strike it down. She even criticized Chief Justice Roberts, who potentially she can work under, that he uphold the ACA. But Trump wants people to work in his favor. That's what he wants. Like, clearly. You can see it. But this is what we're dealing with. Cory Booker also questioned her on some things on systemic racism. She couldn't give a clear, concise answer. She couldn't answer Amy Klobuchar's answer on abortion. She couldn't even answer Richard Blumenthal's answer about criminalizing people for using the IVF treatment. Like, she couldn't answer nobody. She needs to recuse herself. Like, she's supposed to recuse herself on certain things. Like, if he tries to, what's that thing? Pardon himself? All kinds of shit. If he's trying to say something like trying to hold back the election. Because your man's is losing. People are like, oh, Shantae, don't get too confident. I'm not getting too confident. Trump is doing this to himself. He still has coronavirus. I don't care what no one say. Still got it. And what he is doing to himself is pretty much saying that I'm cured. There is a cure. There's not a cure for the virus. A cure is a vaccine. And even that researchers are still researching. They've been researching coronavirus since 1985. That's the year before I was born. So, I don't know what this crazy man is talking about. But then I told people, this is what happens when you elect a New York con artist out straight out from Queens. That's all I'm saying. But no, don't listen to me. I'm the black lady that's doing this live from my house with hardly no viewers. But like I said, I don't do this for the clout. I just do this to inform people. That's what I do it for. But this is just day one of this hearing. It's not as crazy as it was, but it was a little contentious. I mean, she was getting a little testy with, Klobuchar. She tried it with Hirano. She tried it with Blumenthal. I mean, like I said, she got testy with Klobuchar, but Klobuchar was paying her no fucking mind. She tried to get testy with Dick Durbin. She couldn't try it with Kamala Harris or Cory Booker because, they got the face like all day, every day. But my favorites on that committee, of course, is Kamala's my girl. I love Cory Booker. I love Amy. I love Mazie. I like Richard Blumenthal, Senator Whitehouse, and even Dick Durbin. Those are my favorites on the courts. I mean, Dianne Feinstein, I give respect to her. She's not in my favorites, but I give my respects to her because she's been out on the lines fighting for women's rights. She has. I'm not even gonna lie. And she was down with the LGBTQ community before people even got down with them. So I give credit to her. Not sure what Patrick Leahy has done in his career, but he answers some substantial questions too. He said, are you going to recuse yourself from these cases once you get on the court? Because all the Democrats on the committee oppose her nomination. They oppose it. They feel like if you didn't give Merrick Garland a hearing, why should we give her Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat? Everything he touches, it dies. Donald, like I said, I grew up in New York City. I grew up around a time where he was prominent in the city, even though I know he was always broke and never had no money. Donald Trump was never a friend. Hey, Derek, Donald Trump was never a friend to nobody. Donald Trump was a nasty bastard, okay? Donald Trump never cared about black people. Keep in mind, his office was only 20 minutes away from Harlem. If you were so concerned about black people, during the crack era, you could have went uptown. You could have helped Mayor then Ed Koch, and your ass didn't. Or David Dinkins. By the way, his wife died. Rest in peace, First Lady Joyce. You're full of shit. You even took out ads on the Central Park 5 back in 1989. I was 3. But my parents sure enough talked about that. And those guys grew up down the block from where I lived at. Because I grew up on the west side of Harlem. And he was right there. Oh, those billions to is HBCUs, not HBSUs. That's one. And 2, Kamala Harris and Doug Jones was a part of that. So Donald Trump is taking credit for the black ladies' work. Not HSBCUs, it's HBUs. And I know about that because it was Kamala Harris who was part of that deal and Doug Jones. Donald Trump didn't do that on his own because he don't give a fuck about black people. I know that. You're just a troll on here, fact check. But, you know, you can have your glory and your grace and your mercy should follow you all the days in your life. And you should dwell in the house of the Lord forever, as you may. You're just a troll on here, fact check. But, you know, you can have your glory and your grace and your mercy should follow you all the days in your life. And you should dwell in the house of the Lord forever, as you may. Like I said, I don't amplify no trolls up in this bitch. I don't do that back and forth shit. I don't do none of that shit. Kamala Harris lied about Lincoln. She actually did not know. She actually got fact checked on that. Who does that? Well, your president lies all the time. But I blocked you because why would I give somebody that has 27 followers praises and glory but follows 110 people? Make no sense. But Donald Trump is a whole entire racist. But I hope everybody goes out and vote. If your state has early voting, I encourage early voting. I know people ain't got no time because some people do. There's people that's still working. And God bless you if you still have your jobs because it is not easy out here. I have been unemployed for 9 months as of this week. And it's been tough. But I've been getting through and I've been getting by. I have money saved, so I've been lucky. But I've been looking for work and been doing all kinds of things. So I know that my due season is coming and I'm back in school. Oh, I like the blue waves. Hey, cute. And my polling site has been changed because of the gerrymandering, of course. And it sucks. I gave my sister the website who's healing from her surgery so she can, you know, request her early ballot. And like I said, if you can get your absentee ballot, just drop off your ballot at your location wherever you live because they can't turn you down. voter suppression is still happening in some of these states, especially in these southern states, and I'm just like, shit. So I'm worried about my family members down south, like my aunts and my cousins and my uncles. Like my mom's been talking to them, especially in South Carolina, because my mom is from South Carolina, but my mom, still lives in New York, still here. And so she's been talking to her sisters. And I've been talking to my cousins. And so actually, one of my cousins actually fundraising for him, which is shocking, Jamie Harrison. But I just going to end this because I'm tired. Oh, I was supposed to be talking about something else. Oh, gosh, there we go, because I've just been on a rant. So, y'all know Tara Reid got a book out. Y'all know that, right? Tara Reid got a whole ass book out. It's called Left Out, When the Truth, whatever it is. No, let me read the thing. No, I ain't reading that shit. Fuck that. She has a book called Left Out. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I think it's a whole joke. I think Rose McGowan's a whole joke. They're a whole joke. But I'm not going to give them no airtime. But like I said, I'm tired. And I'm going to get up early to watch the rest of this hearing tomorrow. And be safe out here. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. All that good stuff. I'm sleepy. But if you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be great. You can follow me on Twitter. So I hope you all have a good night and be safe.